Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wings for Life. My name is Ann Edenfield Sweet. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Wings for Life International. And tonight we have a topic that is so special and really important to me. And it's talking about early education. We have a very special speaker with us tonight, Dr. Stephanie Mack, and also she is going to be one of our new staff members for our new, starting July 1st of 2021, our LifeWise workshops that you'll be hearing more about. But Stephanie comes to us from Texas. She's had over 25 years of experience, public schools. She has taught in prisons. In fact, she's worked in some of the prisons where we've done Wings Family Days. So that's been a really exciting connection. She is new to New Mexico, and she has decided for this first year she wants to learn all about New Mexico and nonprofits and for-profits and what everybody's doing. And thank heaven she has chosen Wings as one of them. So we are very happy about that. So she is going to talk to us about something important. I hope you pay close attention because we all want the best for our children. So thanks for being with us here, Stephanie. Dr. Stephanie Mack.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Ann. I am so pleased to be here this evening to chat with you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, early learning, specifically literacy and social play, and how important it is for the children in our lives, whether it be our children, nieces, nephews, cousins, any of the children that we come into contact with, we can make a difference. So I just want to share some information with you. I want to start by this quote by Nelson Mandela. The most powerful weapon we can use to change the world is education. So when we talk about literacy and we talk about early learning and promoting that in children, we can make a difference regardless of where we've come from, regardless of challenges that we've had or that we face now, regardless of circumstances that may face you. These are just obstacles and barriers that can be overcome. We can make a difference using very small things. I'm going to introduce you to some of them this evening, most of them free, minimal cost, and things that are easy to do, whether you have completed school yourself or not. So let's get started. Now, I don't want to be a downer, but I do have to share some very important statistics with you. So without a high-quality early education, children sometimes become what we call at risk. I fell into that category when I was young. Single mother, young. But there were adults in my life who let me know that those barriers and those obstacles were attainable and overcome, that I could overcome them. So all of my goals were attainable. And you can be that voice in your children's lives as well, so that these statistics don't become a factor. Without that high quality education, as you can see, 40% are more likely to become a teen parent. Now, I know that culturally, sometimes, some start younger than others, and that's okay. But the young teen parents who are ill-prepared, if we can prevent that, if we can start with these very, very strong early learning skills, we can overcome that 40%. 50% more likely to be placed in special education. Special education is a very good thing for some learners. It is necessary. However, a lot of students, especially our Black and brown and children of color, are placed in education, special education programs at much higher rates and statistics nationwide. So 50% more likely if that early education is not in place, a strong one. 60% more likely to never attain or attend college. College is not for everyone. Sometimes junior college or a trade or high school will work depending on what field or what area of interest you have. Nothing wrong with that, but that's a high percentage of children not attending college or not aspiring for college. Again, there was a person in my life who let me know that those goals were attainable. Those barriers could be overcome. And so what did I do? I did go to school and I did graduate. That too can be the story of any child in your life. Limitless. 70% more likely to be arrested for a violent crime. No one wants that for their children, of course, or any child in their life, if it can be prevented. So let's team together and try to instill those strong early learning skills in the children that we come into contact with. High quality preschool is available to every child, especially if you qualify. You just have to reach out to the resources and to the educators in your area. So here are some of the importance of early learning, specifically targeting age 0 to 3. Now, when we think about infants and we think about benchmarks or we think about things as that brain is developing, a lot of these things are very, very applicable to our older elementary kids as well, because children develop at different rates. So keep this in mind. Birth to age 3 is very, very important in your child's life, in your development. 80% of that brain and that growth development happens at that period. Now, the frontal lobe and other parts of the brain slowly develop over time, and especially with males, they develop at a little bit of a slower rate, and that is just genetically what happens. There's nothing wrong with that, not to say that there's any difference in capability or learning. But this development and early childhood is so important that it shapes how the child views the world. So we want to be sure that we are feeding good things, that we are being very positive, that we are speaking life, and that we are speaking success into our children. These things seem like they're nothing, or they're not important, or it's minimal, it's not significant. But I can't stress to you how important that is. Talking and reading, even to your infant, is so important because they grow up seeing and hearing and experiencing that being modeled, reading being fun. 1,000 words of the vocabulary, the words that the child knows, are developed at a very young age in elementary. So you may say, well, I don't have a wide vocabulary, or, I didn't graduate from high school. It doesn't matter. If you speak to your child in full, complete sentences, whether it be in English and Spanish or your native tongue, rather than short phrases or words or using slang, you will be amazed at what words your child can pick up. And that is directly related to literacy, to being literate, to reading. The spoken word, hearing, seeing, all of your senses are all intertwined in that written word. It's all related. Writing, hearing stories, seeing the words, it's all related. So I just wanted to bring those important facts to you before we talk about social play. Now, social play, you might say, what does that have to do with reading? Well, children learn how to negotiate with others, how to please others, how to modulate and overcome anger that can arise from conflicts. So important. So I just wanted to kind of interject this because it is so important and because it is directly related to literacy. Think back. Now, I'm aging myself. Some of you may not have played little pretend games when you were little. Maybe you didn't have a lot of toys. Maybe you are my age. Maybe you played in the sand. Maybe you played with dolls and you had them talk to each other, or action figures and you had them fight. These things are critical. They're very, very important to instilling that education and that early learning, because it's make-believe. It's using your creative mind, and it's learning social skills. You're modeling things, you're making up things. Very, very important. I can't stress it enough. And it's free. Things you already have around the house, things outside at the park, at the playground. It's free. This slide illustrates all of the things that go into that play. Exploring. How about a nature walk? You're describing what is going on. You're talking about it. You're answering in complete sentences, and you're describing it, and you're being excited. At the park, you're playing ball. You can say bounce up, bounce down. They're learning those skills, those directions, those words. You're adding to their vocabulary. The more that you communicate with children about anything, the better. Create. How about painting, finger painting? Very inexpensive. You can even use things around the house. Google how you can make those. Finger painting and creating things with just paper and children's scissors are so important, because you are creating and you're stimulating your brain, and you can talk about those things. All of these things here, singing and dancing. I grew up with nursery rhymes. They're not so popular anymore. However, if you Google free websites, free apps, nursery rhymes, games, they have the video, which is kind of enticing as well. But you don't want to do that morning, noon, and night. You want to limit that screen time and get back to playing, interacting, creating, laughing. I played Simon Says, I Spy. Google old school games, old school free games, and you will find so many things that are completely doable for you, that are easy, and you will be amazed and you will be blessed by the smiles that you see from your children. You will be amazed and you'll say, she was telling the truth. How about planting seeds? Very, very, very inexpensive at the dollar store. When those grow, again, the amazement. Then you can draw about it. You can write about it. You can talk about it. There are so many things that you can do. Taking pictures, talking about the steps of doing that, simply with a cell phone and your camera and your video. Very, very easy, but talking and communicating through those things. Childhood experiences and lifelong outcomes, how the early environment literally becomes embedded. That means it just grows and it becomes rooted in the brain and it changes its architecture. This goes back to what I said earlier. If you turn a negative situation or barriers or obstacles or things that seem like they're holding you back or your child back or your family back, and you turn those around into something positive, you can actually change that brain, change the structure and the belief that they can succeed. So this early learning concept and this early reading is so, so important. So important. One way that I want to highlight at this time that you can get that reading into the routine is simply by going to the library. It's free. If you don't have time, you don't have a way, how about a garage sale when you see? Get a few books, take them home, Teach them how to turn the pages. If they already know, read to them. If they can read to you. They can read to the dolls if you don't have time. They can read to the action figures. Encourage them to just read out loud. Read to a friend, to a cousin. If you can take away one idea that I mentioned before I close this evening and actually put it into use with your family, you will see a difference in your child. You will see a difference in their smile, in their participation, and in their eagerness to learn. Because that's the bottom line. You want to plant a seed for that lifelong outcome, to change that brain, to change the trajectory, the direction, the ability, the path. You can do it. I believe in you. Before I close, I want to go through this list because these life skills are so important to instill that love of reading, that love of learning, that belief system that you can. Why is it important? Well, we know that reading is fundamental. It touches every subject and everything. You need to know how to read to drive. You really need to know how to read to walk. You really need to know how to read to do almost anything effectively and efficiently. So start where you are. And I want to highlight again, if you're a college graduate, that's great. You already know most of this, but the fact is, have you moved to do it? Start where you are. If you are not a college graduate or not a high school graduate, that's okay. I mentioned that earlier. If you yourself sit down and attempt one of these activities, two of these activities, you may surprise yourself. If you're working toward your GED, let your children see that. If you're working toward a goal or you're studying for a job, let them see you so that they can be inspired and believe that they too can attain those goals. Build the literacy into a lifestyle. As I said earlier, build it into your routine. If you are busy, start with 5 minutes. You can do 5 minutes. Someone in the house can do 5 minutes. Then challenge yourself the next week, 10 minutes. Build it into your routine, very predictable before they go to bed. Do you have time to tuck them in or to read them a bedtime story? If you're at work and that doesn't work, how about a morning routine while they're brushing their teeth or getting dressed? You're talking them through it and you're interacting. You can use little pieces of time to do these things. So build that routine. Then offer incentives. Oh, wow, when we do this, then we can go to the park. Or when we do this, you can have 15 minutes or 30 minutes of computer time. When we do this, we can go to check, whatever it is that you and your family enjoy doing. Offer it as an incentive to do that work and do that fun play together. Make a routine, offer incentives, seek support. If this seems too difficult for you to do or to try on your own, contact the teacher. Contact the family outreach person at the school. Contact anyone in education. Contact Ann at Wings. She has all of the notes on how to do this on the lovely menu that she has for those family nights. It's on the website. We can send it to you. If you have questions, seek support. The librarian, anyone. Make it fun. If you are simply smiling when you say, let's make a grocery list. If you act like it's fun and you are enjoying it, they're going to enjoy it. Use your free resources. I mentioned earlier Google. I mentioned earlier free games. Use your free resources. There are some websites that are free and wonderful on the placemat. And I mentioned earlier modeling, reading, and learning. Let them see you do it. Whatever you do and whatever you model are what your kids are going to pick up, what the children around you are going to absorb. And don't give up. Don't give up. As I stated earlier, I believe in you. I know that you can make small changes. And I know that if you desire for your children to read, be literate, have a love for learning, and an eager to understand and to create, that you too can use some of these tips and you can make a difference. So remember that. We believe in you. Thank you.
Wow. I knew it was going to be powerful, but thank you so much. And I could not agree more with what she said. And I'll just share a little anecdote. I was speaking years ago at the American Jail Association, big national convention. I was a keynote speaker of all things, and I had really pushed the idea about education and getting your kids to read. And this man at the end stood up and he said, "Hey, I'd like to make a comment." And he said, "I'm head of juvenile justice for the state of Texas." Wow, I didn't know I had somebody like that in the midst listening to me. And he said, in the state of Texas, this was quite a few years ago, he said, we give a reading test to third graders. Now, we all know about reading tests for third graders. And the reading test for third graders, you learn to read up through third grade. After third grade, you have to read to learn. You can't learn anymore because now you've got to be able to read what it is so you can continue to learn. And he said, well, we give this test at third grade. I'm kind of nodding my head. And then he said something that shocked me. He said, in the state of Texas, he said, we use those reading test scores, and for people that don't reach a certain level, and I have no idea what that certain level is, he said, we start budgeting money to build prison beds. Third grade, start budgeting money to build prison beds because they know that those students that don't read at that certain level are going to end up behind bars. Now, that's the last thing I would want for any of my children. I know it's the last thing you want for your kids. So even if you're not a reader, start to learn with them. Start to learn, get audiobooks, do whatever you can. Listen to everything that Stephanie said because she is so right on. And reading is so critical for everybody's success. So now I'm going to close with a story. You know, I always like to close with a story. And I thought it's a common story. I know you've heard it before, but it's good to be reminded. And it's the starfish story by Lauren Isley. One day a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy picking up something and gently throwing it back into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he asked, "Well, what are you doing?" The youth replied, "Well, I'm throwing the starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them back, they're going to die." "Son," said the man, "don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and hundreds of starfish? You can't really think you're making a difference." After listening politely, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it back into the surf. Then, smiling at the man, he said, "I made a difference for that one." And you know, that's what we're trying to do at Wings. We're trying to make a difference for you. If we're just making a difference for you, that's all that matters. We can't change the world, just like we can't save every starfish, but we can help you, to help your children, to save that child, and to have a better future. And that's what Wings is all about. So if you have been listening through Facebook or YouTube, this is the end of our program. Those of you that are through Zoom, don't hang up because we're going to go right away to breakout rooms and you're going to be able to ask questions of Dr. Stephanie and find out a whole lot more. So thanks for being with us tonight. I hope you'll join us next week, same time, Monday night, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And we are just so happy that you're with us. And please visit our website at Wings Fly, Wings, F-L-I, it stands for For Life International, so wingsfly.org. You could go to tonight's program. You will find a placemat that we use. It's a lesson plan. Some of what Stephanie has been talking about is on that placemat. Also, we will have her PowerPoint, her story, and of course, we will have this taped talk for you to be able to refer to in the future. So thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again. Good night.